So one of the things that came out was there was a recent opinion piece that came out from PFN that had a rather low opinion of Jared Goff. They said that he was a bottom 5 tier quarterback. Like he was really low on their totem pole. So I just wanted to ask, do you think that their opinion is correct of Jared Goff? Do you think it's too low? Do you think it's accurate? What do you think?
That's tough. I will right off the
Mm-hmm.
bat, bottom 5 that's not great. I I don't know if I disagree though, to be totally honest. I think this year is his year of reckoning, like we said last week. I think if you
Mm-hmm.
look at what he did last year, it took him 10 weeks to look halfway decent. I don't think calling him bottom 5 is like the craziest thing in the world. I think like his best case scenario, or at least coming off last season, the biggest Jared Goff optimist. What is he? Maybe a bottom 10 QB. Is that his peak? There's some bad quarterbacks. Don't get it twisted. There's some guys that should be counting their lucky stars. They get to throw footballs around for money. But at the same time, if I don't think there's a crazy case to be made for. I don't think calling people crazy for saying Goff's bottom 5. I don't know if that's necessarily warranted.
I wouldn't say calling people crazy because he's a bottom 5 quarterback is warranted. I just think that if you're going purely based off of last year's statistics and just going off of negative statistics from certain parts of the season, I think that is being short sighted. Because again, if you take a look at Goff's statistics throughout the year, the first 4 or 5 weeks, he was actually pretty decent. He had a 66, 67 completion percentage, 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. But then after you had the injuries to Frank Ragnow, to Quintez Cephas, that was when Goff did not look very well from weeks 5 through 10. He had 1 touchdown to 4 interceptions, like 64 completion percentage, a 74 quarterback rating per the NFL, not PFF. That was when things looked really bad. But then, like we also said, the last part of the season, he looked like a completely different Jared Goff. That was when we had a different offensive play caller. Josh Reynolds had come in. St. Brown had caught on. So I think if you're just purely basing Goff off of last year, I think you're doing him a disservice because I think everybody is instantaneously going to look at last year's roster and be like, there's no way Jared Goff does the exact same that he did last year with the roster he has this year. We have DJ Chark, Jameson Williams, Quintez Cephas, TJ Hawkinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds. He's got almost 7 times as many weapons as he did last year. There's no way Jared Goff does what he did last year. Not in my book.
I certainly hope you're right. Listen, I want Jared Goff to be a Hall of Famer. I want him to win 500 Super Bowls. I want him to break every record. I want him to be the best. But not even, I guess, like he did great things with the Rams, but I don't care what he did 4 years ago. No offense. I don't care at all what he did 4 years ago. I care about what he did. And he should be better this year. The offensive line should be better. The run game, wideouts, like you said, everything around him should be better. Hopefully the coaching and the offensive play calling is better. But right now, based off what we did see and what we saw last year, I just don't know. And you mentioned the statistics were good, even though they were losing those games to start out the year. For me, obviously, statistics and numbers carry weight. But for me, like when not just football, but any sport, when I watch and I'm deciphering, oh, this guy, I like him or he's not so great. When I watched Goff, there are moments, there are throws he makes anytime anybody comes near him, pressure-wise, where it's, dude, you're a pro athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like guys would get within 2.5 yards of him and he's stuck in mud and they one hand touch him and he's on the ground. And I know he's not Michael Vick, but like, I don't know. I felt like my dad may be a little more athletic in the pocket. He does things like that always, it doesn't make sense. And then he would make throws here and there where it goes down as just an incompletion. Or it goes down as maybe it was a 5-yard gain, but if the throw's better, it's a 15-yard gain. But that incompletion, the guy was wide open and he throws a duck. It felt like, despite whatever statistics say it just felt like watching him. There were moments where it's like, you got to make that play, Jared. You got to evade that sack or you got to make that throw. Just too many moments like that stuck with me over the course of the year where, I don't know.
I think if you take a look, again, if you're taking a look at the entirety of the season and you're trying to put it in a nutshell, then yeah, that would make an accurate statement. But again, I take a look at last season in stages because in the earlier parts of the season, that was true. Jared Goff wasn't being as mobile in the back. He wasn't doing a whole lot to evade rushes. But one particular play kind of sticks out to me very clearly was against the Cardinals. It was the play where Amon-Ra St. Brown was going across the line, and then he just went up the sideline and got that touchdown. When you see that play, Jared Goff had to step into the pocket, evade the pass rush, and then he threw a perfect ball straight to Amon-Ra St. Brown for the touchdown. That kind of a play I wouldn't have seen from Jared Goff early on in the season because, again, still figuring out the offense, still figuring out who he was and how he fit in with the offensive scheme. I personally think having another year in the system, having all these extra weapons, having the confidence that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have instilled in him, I think we see a Jared Goff that is very similar, if not surpasses, what he did 2018 Rams. I would not be surprised. I'm going to make a bold prediction right here. I think Jared Goff has over 4,000 yards throwing next year and over 30 touchdowns. I'm making that opinion right now.
I hope. I don't think that's going to happen. That's like bottom. We're talking about him being a bottom 5 QB. If he does that, he's a top 10 guy next year. I hope he does it.
Well,
I hope.
I think with the supporting cast he has and the line he has, I think that's totally a reasonable hope. I wouldn't say expectation, but it's a hope because, in my opinion, he's got a great supporting cast around him. So if it happens, but again, that's what I'm seeing. I could see plus 4,000 yards, plus 30 touchdowns. That's just my opinion. Could be drinking a little too much Kool-Aid, but
listen, that would be unbelievable. I agree. It's a hope. That's the best. It's like beyond a hope. If there's another word for something like that, miracle maybe. Is that what we're praying on, a miracle? I don't know. It's like I get it. This is year 2 in the system. I get it. Chark is going to be better. Hopefully St. Brown takes another step. Jamison Williams, whenever he starts playing. But again, like at some level, talent's talent. Like I saw Jared Goff play. I don't know. It was the ceiling that much higher? I don't know.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what?